So welcome everyone. It's nice to have you joining us this evening. I am Kristen Anderson. I'm the CEO of European Women on Boards. And we're going to be talking today about our mentoring program, which is going to start in about a little over 1 month. And hopefully you signed up to express your interest to know more about our mentoring program. So we have a nice agenda to tell you more and also answer your questions. So please feel free to write your questions in the chat. We'll definitely have time to answer those as we go along. As I said, I'm the CEO of EWOB. Today we have with us to also give you some testimonials and background on the mentoring program, Martina Klepalova, who's a EWOB program manager and been with us for many, many years. We have Muriel Anton. She's the CEO of Odyssey, and she's a part of the partner association, and she manages, runs, and is an expert in mentoring programs. And we have Dr. Maria Boerner here from Allen Overy, and she is one of the mentees of this program last year, so you'll hear about her experiences. So let me pass it over to Martina to show you the agenda.
Okay, good evening to everybody and warm welcome. So we have dedicated half an hour to introduce you a little bit more, not only the mentoring program, but EWOB organization overall. We will show you what kind of development programs EWOB is offering. Mentoring is one of those. And we will have personal testimonials from mentees and mentor. In the end, you can ask the questions or you can put the questions in the chat and we will answer them as we go.
Good. So I thought I'd spend a few minutes on what is EWOB and tell you a little bit about our organization. Again, put questions in the chat so you don't need to wait till the end. EWOB, which is European Women on Boards. If you go to the next slide, Martina, we're a nonprofit organization that's across Europe. And I say, when I introduce EWOB, I say it's not the EU, not 27 member states. We have members throughout the whole continent of Europe and beyond. We're based in Brussels. This year is our 10-year anniversary. EWOB was founded 10 years ago because the EU directive on women on boards was rejected more than 10 years ago by some member states. And then organizations like Odyssey, Muriel is the CEO, decided we need to have a umbrella organization to promote gender equality in decision making in the C-suite and board and higher senior levels around Europe, and again support the target of 40% women on boards. I hope that you are all aware that that directive passed in November, so it's a very key time to be working with EWOB, because now companies that are stock listed have basically about 3 years to put more women on their boards and to find talented women. And that's what we are here for, inspiring senior women to achieve their career aspirations and take on more decision-making roles. You would go to the next slide. So we have a 4-pronged strategy, support the gender balance on boards. We know that gender balanced boards perform better, the companies perform better, they make better decisions, more ethical decisions. So again, this is not just EWOB, the data is very clear. We're partnering with many other organizations in countries around Europe to build a talent pool of more than 1,000 women who are ready and eager to take senior level roles, and then to connect companies, executive recruiters with the talent pool. So for open positions, so that we have, in the end, achieve our goal of more gender equality in decision making. Next slide, please. So we're a European network of like-minded organizations working on gender equality. You can see this here. Maybe some of them you are actually familiar with or members of. But again, these are all organizations striving in different countries and with different functions to have more gender diversity. We actually support peer exchange and networking across borders. So this is one of our strengths of European Women on Boards. Next slide. Yeah, as I said, creating networking opportunities for women across Europe is one of the benefits we hear from our members. So any woman, senior level woman or man can join EWOB. You can become an individual member. We're quite unique that way. And you get invited to and can participate in or see the recordings for our EWOB talks, our fireside chats, and our face-to-face and virtual networking events. Go to the next slide. Some of our events last year, which we had actually more than 25 events. We had how to move from executive to a non-executive career, top tips for interviewing at senior level, how to negotiate into a high level position. So those are some sampling of what we bring to our members. And so again, this is some things that we talked to you about how to further your career, and part of the programs that we offer give specific tips on these areas. And I think, Martina, now I pass it over to you on the programs that we've developed in EWOB.
Yeah, so EWOB is currently offering the four programs for our members or who wants to join us. So first one is individual membership, what already Kristen has talked about, where we are organizing for the members the monthly events and workshops. And all the events are being recorded and are available all the time for everybody. So in case you are joining later on or organization, you can still access the events from the past. The events are very much focused on career development, on encouraging you in your growth, equip you with the soft skills, and equip you with how to position yourself on the market. Then the next one is the C-level program. Currently, I see that a couple of participants here today are even participating in the C-level program, what we are running now in spring. This program is 4 months training and preparing the participants for the C-level position. It's very much focusing on the personal branding, on the mission statement. And most of the program is online, but in the program, because the big focus is on the networking, the program is ending with a face-to-face event to meet all the peers. And we have around 40 people per class. And the C-level program is already running for 7 cohorts. The next is a board readiness program, which is very similar composed as the C-level program. So it's virtual webinars, but very tactical preparation yourself for the first board position. The amount of participants is between 30-35, and currently we run the program in spring now, and both programs, C-level program and boardroom readiness program, are open twice per year. So the next cohort will be opening in the autumn and will start in September. So applications we will be opening before summer in case you will be interested about these programs. And the last one, but not least, is the mentoring program. What I would like to hand over to Muriel, who is our expert in this area.
Thank you very much, Martina. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the mentoring program and some of the benefits that perhaps you as a executive or leader in your organization may benefit from. Odyssey has actually been running mentoring programs. We started working on it back in 2009, so we're about to head into our 14th year. We work in we started actually working in Central and Eastern Europe, and then we headed over to Singapore. So we run programs in Asia Pacific. We started working with European Women on Boards in 2016 to run their first cross-border mentoring program. And then subsequently, Odyssey actually started running a global program. So we have a lot of experience working cross-industry, cross-border, cross-culture. We have a great number of top-tier mentors that we have access to. So even if we don't have a mentor that might currently fit your needs, we certainly are able to actually go out and recruit either from Europe or other regions to be able to find somebody that would fit actually your needs. And this is really how we run the program. Next slide, please, Martina. So we have actually run these leadership programs, and I'll call it more of soft skills mentoring. But we also, when we were working with an EU grant, we ran a digital strategy mentor. So we have a nice complement of mentors with extremely strong digital strategy or implementation, transformation skills, as well as soft skills. In fact, when we ran a specific program for digital strategy mentoring, we found, or our mentors found, that soft skills always played a part in terms of actually supporting the development of the mentees in the program. And our mentees in the EWOB programs range from mid-level leaders in multinational corporations right through to top senior executives who we have also been able to find very good mentors to be able to support their development. Next slide, please.
Mm-hmm. And Muriel, we have a question. If
Okay.
the participants or the applicants need to be on specific level in career to be part of mentoring program?
No, we actually have run mentoring programs, even starting with students in high schools, individuals just starting out in their career, individual contributors, or people who work with virtual teams. That's basically our starting point in the experience that we have. We also have had top executives. We've had CEOs, we have CFOs, we've had HRDs. So we're able to actually find the right pairing for the particular individual and their background and experience, their function, or the length of time that they've actually been in the workforce. So the program itself is a one-year program, but of course, the mentees can also participate in any of the events that Martina and Kristen also spoke about earlier. We will have the kickoff at the end of April, and we will have pairing set up prior to that kickoff event. We make sure also that when a mentee and mentor meet for the first time, let's call it just a coffee meeting to check the chemistry. If either the mentor or the mentee doesn't feel that it's a good pairing, this is okay. We've seen it before and it'll happen again, that we then change it to make sure that you have an opportunity to find somebody that really fits your needs.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty good at actually doing the pairing, but if there is a issue, we can change it.
Muriel, I think that answers the question from Pia in the chat, because she asked if the choice of the mentor is a mutual decision and how is the mentor chosen. Maybe you're going to make comments of how the mentor is chosen, but it is a mutual agreement.
Yes, yes, very much so. And that's a great question, because, you know, chemistry is also playing a part in this. Of course, many of the mentors and mentees, given their level of expertise and experience, they find their path, they find their way through, because this mentoring program is really about experience sharing. And it goes both ways, from mentor to mentee and mentee to mentor. So we have a launch event and we have a kickoff event. Now, the next slide here on the program rules.
Sorry.
No, we're good. The mentor program rules, I put rules in quotes because you know, this is something that we found through feedback of both our mentors and mentees, really make a difference to building that particular relationship, the mentoring relationship. The first I'll start with is, I call it experience sharing. And this is to make sure, you see in the picture, what it says on the t-shirts is mini me. Now, the mentor is not there to create a mini me. The mentor is there to actually listen to the challenges or opportunities or development thoughts of the mentee, and to share their experiences and tell their stories of how they approach different issues or challenges. The mentee then, through hearing what happened and how they dealt with it, comes up with basically their own ideas in terms of what would make sense given their particular situation. In terms of the next point, creating a plan. Our mentors from, I would say, the very first year have said, creating that mentoring plan at the beginning, even if it does change over time, makes a big difference to whether or not at the end of the mentoring sessions, the mentee feels that there has been real value add. Now, we do find that a 6 months is a nice cycle for the first part of the plan, but we do recommend a continuation all the way through the 12 months if you can, and adjust as you go. Meetings and calls, these we found, set them up in advance, even if they do change over time, so that it's in both people's calendars. If there is ever an issue at the end of a mentoring program where we see there was some challenges, it says something like, well, I was very busy, my mentor was very busy, and we had a difficulty finding the time to actually meet. This is why we set these up at the beginning in the calendars of the mentors and mentees, and then the probability that you actually do meet goes up exponentially. Rule number 4, no poaching. No poaching basically means that it doesn't matter how perfect that mentee is for an open spot in the mentor's organization, the mentor cannot hire mentees from the program. Otherwise, this would basically kill the program. Organizations wouldn't put their employees into the program. In fact, we see some countries and some companies that are more than happy to actually work with a mentor from a different country and a different organization, because the risk of actually poaching goes down exponentially. And in fact, in this case, it's absolutely not allowed. Confidentiality. Now, you can agree confidentiality levels in your mentoring pair. This is, of course, one of the benefits of the program, that people are working in different industries, perhaps, or different functions, different countries. So confidentiality is important. But we have seen even cultural differences in terms of understanding what confidentiality means. So I cannot stress this amount, that even something as simple as a mentor perhaps setting up a networking opportunity for somebody, if the mentee doesn't know about, in effect, it's breaching a confidentiality agreement. So start with the extreme level. Mentees, you should never absolutely have to worry about anything that you're talking about in these sessions going anywhere beyond what your mentor is looking for to support you. And feedback on the program, because we absolutely always listen to what we're hearing and try to make changes as we go to make the improvements. Next slide, please. We have specific roles and responsibilities, and we have a comprehensive mentoring guide that mentors and mentees can use for the program. It basically sets the team up for success, has different exercises to be able to put together the best mentoring plan to take full advantage of the opportunity presented by having these great mentors in our program. Elements like creating a logbook, developing the plan together, setting up the times and the meeting. This next one about being the relationship driver, this is really around mentees need to actually decide, I want to get the most out of this program that I absolutely can. And this is where it really makes a difference in terms of whether or not you really are able to grow exponentially with the support of your mentor, or you're happy with a more regular development. It really sits in the hands of the mentee and their commitment. The mentor's experience, the mentors can also provide support with their network. They can work with you on taking and giving feedback. In fact, we have a very long list of mentoring topics that we've been tracking for over 10 years now. And we know across different countries, different organizations, the top topics of mentoring where we can actually provide some help and insights to you and your mentor for putting it into your mentoring plan. Next slide, please. The mentors, again, one of the most critical elements here is this is about experience sharing. It's sharing the stories, it's listening with an open mind, taking responsibility to pull together the best mentoring plan, and sometimes, giving that homework to the mentee so that the development can be worked on in between the sessions and the feedback can come back at the beginning of the next session. How did it work in terms of the work that was going on in the previous month? Next slide, please. So when we talk to our community of mentees, this is just part, I would say, of a long list of benefits that mentees have actually seen over the last many years. First of all, we get this constantly that having this outside in perspective, having somebody outside the organization who now maybe understands it better from having worked with you. We've had mentors in the past actually who have been invited to go in and spend some time even in the organizations, in your organization. We have had mentors who've been invited to speak with the boss of the mentee. This, of course, is all driven by the mentee's desire, whether or not something like this makes sense. The benefit can also be not just regular monthly sessions, but it can be based on ad hoc. It can be based on an issue coming up, a quick call, a quick text, a quick email. So this can be a program where the mentee can benefit because we can fit to your needs. It's a partnership. It's a relationship that's being built. It's learning about different industries, different organizations, and having somebody basically who acts as a potential sparring partner for different ideas that you may be contemplating for different elements of your work. Next slide, please. So now, Martina, I think if there aren't any more questions at this point, we do have Maria here that I could hand this over to.
And I will stop slide sharing that we can see each other. If you can put your camera on, would be nice to see the faces as well on the screen.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Maria. I am a German qualified lawyer and I live in Frankfurt currently. I work for a huge international law firm and I'm focusing on corporate M&A. And I guess you now already have kind of an image in your head. I know, super stereotype, but you probably already imagine how my work environment looks like. And I think your first impression is 100% right. It is absolutely male dominated. Not that there is anything against it in particular. I like it as well, but it can be a bit tough from time to time. So I honestly have to say, when I first researched and then I found EWOB, I was like very interested, and obviously there are many information on the website. So I double checked and I thought, maybe this mentoring program could be interested. And I thought, am I actually qualified for that? What do I need to prove? So I just applied and I was so happy that I was accepted and admitted to the program. I will talk about all the benefits about it in a second. But I just wanted to get back to my first point, just to have a mentor and having this mentor relationship with my mentor, for me, was definitely a sort of a game changer, I think, at least within the last year, because when the mentoring program started and I started to have the contact and the conversations with my mentor, we were super lucky because we immediately clicked. So we had a very nice interaction with each other. But I finally had such a precious tool that I really wanted to use. because I had a female guidance. And I mean, I hope it doesn't sound so stupid. I don't know how you are feeling, but this is something that I definitely miss in my professional work environment. And of course, I can come and like go to my boss and to the management and say, well, I find it a bit sad that there is such a lack of diversity, but what can they do if there is no one? So having said that, I was really lucky with my mentor, and I can actually understand that maybe some people are a bit suspicious, like, how is this matching process? How does it work? When I first looked at the CV of my mentor, I was like, okay, she's based in Prague. She works for a tech company. I'm a lawyer. How does that work? And then I realized, oh, wow, they must have put a lot of effort and thought into the whole matching process, because she was also familiar with M&A processes. She lived abroad. She's British. I left the British royal family. So there were so many similarities. Obviously, she also worked abroad. She has a huge interest in DE&I, like diversity-related matters. I'm also very engaged in that regard. So there were many, many topics where we immediately matched. So what I really have to highlight is that, I mean, a year can sound super long, but then on the other hand, it isn't. And we really try to put a meeting once a month into our calendar. No worries, it's not that complicated. If you all have maybe someone who supports you or your mentor has a PA, it's very easy doably. So you can really do that quite quickly. And you know what? I think out of all the meetings we had, like must have been 10, 12, I think 4 of them were even in person. So yeah, every 2-3 months we met in person. How come? First of all, because obviously my mentor travels a lot. So whenever she was somewhere, she just called me and said, look, I'll be there next month or there next week. Would you be available? So I actually once traveled to Prague where she was working. And yeah, Kristen is already nodding because I met you there as well in person. And this is the second point I wanted to highlight. Due to the mentorship, you have access to the whole EWOB community, meaning you are also invited to the EWOB meetings. For me, that was definitely super nice, because that was kind of the door that opened to the EWOB world to connect with other very, very nice and lovely ladies. So of course I was invited to meetings. So was my mentor, because we are both part of the network. So we traveled to the meetings, for example, in Prague. We went to a meeting in Brussels. So we also met in Brussels. She came to Frankfurt, where I live. She now works in London. So I also once traveled to London. So you see, you can like really connect and travel and meet in person. And I think the last point that I definitely wanted to mention, I think it's important to have different people to whom you can talk, right? But there is a difference if you can talk to someone who maybe has faced the same challenges as you. And I absolutely am a huge and passionate advertiser for talking together and not about someone. So I would never complain about my male coworkers. But then on the other hand, they don't share all the experiences and maybe like also a bit bad experience that I sometimes have to challenge, because I don't think that anyone, for example, tells my male colleagues that they are too confident or too chatty or wear too bright suits. That just doesn't happen, but it happens to me. So just to be able to call my mentor and say, like, look, I'm so fed up. Have you ever had that situation where you just want to cry? And she says, yes, don't quit, just stick with it and don't choose. You can be yourself and still have a successful career. And I remember that we once had dinner. I think it was in London a couple of weeks ago, and I was so frustrated. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? This is supposed to be, a professional mentor-mentee relationship, and I'm not supposed like to cry at to yell at you. But now I really have to yell, because you should really stop like whining around, pursue your career, and be even more successful than the others. So let's order another glass of wine. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So long story short, as you can already hear, I'm a huge fan of my mentor. Our mentor and mentee relationship like officially stops in a couple of weeks. And nevertheless, I'm pretty sure that we'll stay in touch because it was a fantastic experience. And I loved that I could talk so openly with her about challenges that I probably couldn't have addressed in my professional work environment in the law firm. So I can only say I highly recommend this. I'm pretty sure that the match will be very nice and reasonable, and make the best out of your career and get every support you can get. We need it. You deserve it. So just go for it. And thank you to everyone who was part of my mentor-mentee relationship, because it was a very great journey. Thanks.
Thank you, Maria. That was great. And you know, it's nice to hear those words. And I think everyone has a different experience. That's why the mentoring program is so, I think, is positive, because it's basically tailored to your specific career aspirations and situation in your career. I'm going to, because we noticed that Rhonda Oka is here. She's a member of EWOB and also a longstanding mentor. And we asked her if she would say a few words about being a mentor. So Rhonda, I pass over to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kristen. I can't, let's say anything more positive than Maria has said. I mean, I've been a mentor for 4 years through EWOB. 2 were with the PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, women that were on the partnership track. And then I went into being a technical mentor, although it was, I would say, more about relationships than really technical advice. And this year, I have been mentoring a woman in China, and she is Chinese, and she works for a very different company than I've ever had any experience with. I have a 25-year career in the financial payments industry with MasterCard, some technical business and product type background. So I thought, wow, heavy industry, yeah, male environment, yeah, and Muriel is actually a magician in her pairing. At least that's been my experience. I don't know how she does it, but she puts some magic dust. And we really knew from the very beginning in all of my mentees that were assigned, that there was already a click, there was already a connection there. And that does make it much easier. The one bit of advice I can tell you is really, if things do not work in the first couple of meetings, you're just feeling, you're having trouble communicating, I would say it's much easier to break it off then and just say, you know, look, it's not working. Make sure that, you know, EWOB, you just tell, you know, Muriel and get another mentee, or, you know, it's much easier that way, or another mentor, because it is such a rewarding experience when you have that connection. So I have only really positive things to say. And I've had bumps along the road. I've had mentees that actually for personal reasons have had to leave the program. I have, you know, sometimes it just, you know, it wasn't their fault, but they had a big new job they needed to go to and focus on. And that's okay. But I got another mentee, and that was equally, if not more, rewarding. So the main thing to remember is you need trust. Once you have that, everything else is really smooth sailing. Trust is the foundation for a good mentoring relationship. So I can only say I'm looking forward to 2023's new program.
Thanks, Rhonda. Thank you. I don't think I have much. I'm also a mentor in the EWOB program. I've been mentoring for 2 years, and I don't think I have much to add. I mean, I had really good experience with mentees. My background as a chemical engineer in the food industry, then also working as a chief diversity officer. And then, you know, Maria, you brought up points of things that are not so inclusive in our day work environment. So I had one mentee who was looking for a job change to a company that was more inclusive, and what's her next career step. I had another mentee who had a new job with a team in China and a team in another country in Europe, and was, you know, challenged with different cultural, you know, differences. So yeah, it's I think that, you know, the pairing part and the feedback and the fact that if the pairing doesn't work, which we've had happen, you know, Muriel has you know, not a library, but she has a long list of different skills in mentors that can also be adjusted and moved depending on the feedback that we receive from the mentees. So yes, this I think is the testimonials you wanted to share. Martina, back to you if we have other topics to cover. Any questions, if you have them, please put them in the chat, or you can also come off of mute if you want to ask them directly.
I don't see any more questions in the chat, but let's take the opportunity and raise the question directly to Muriel or to Kristen or
and on our website is the easy application. Sometimes people the mentoring spots are paid by their company, and sometimes the individual women pay for them the program themselves. So it's, you know, it's available either way that anyone wants to manage it.
And if I may add, in the very beginning, when I was thinking about doing the cross-border mentoring program, I was a bit unsure and maybe even shy to ask my boss or the management of the firm if I could actually expense it or if they could participate within the costs. But then on the other hand, of course, just ask for it. If you don't ask, you don't get anything. So don't be shy. And it's, of course, part of your career development, right?
We have a question from Sylvia. Is this program free if people are a member of EWOB? And if they're a member of EWOB, there's a discount, but it's not free because it's a year-long program. It's quite intensive, but you can see those details also on the website. And as I wrote in the chat, if you're not a member of EWOB and you want to take the program, then you become a member of EWOB. So it works both ways.
And you will have great opportunity to network because we don't do only virtual events, but we do the events in big European countries. And I can guarantee you that those events are really appreciated for the networking. So you will not have only one-to-one relationship with your mentor, but the doors to really networking with senior businesswomen will be open for you.
And for those, because I know many people are interested and maybe they decide this is not the right time for them to join the program. But I would suggest, even if you don't want to join the mentoring program, you can still think about joining EWOB. On the same website, you'll see a button for individual membership, and you can find out more about that. Then you will be invited to all the events. And as Martina mentioned, the face-to-face networking events. Like just tonight, there's one in Paris. Maria mentioned the ones in Prague. We had one in Brussels a month ago, and we're going to have one in Milan in May. So we're probably every other month. There's a group in Switzerland that's very active, in Germany. So we're having a lot of local chapter events because our members really want to connect with other EWOB members and bring some guests too, and introduce them to EWOB, and introduce them to the, you know, if they want to join EWOB. I don't see any hands up, any more questions, Martina, Muriel. Maria, I think maybe we'll close there. And again, you can see on our website or contact us, there's addresses if you have questions as you're thinking about this opportunity, or you want to join as a member, you can always ask us questions if you have any, you know, any concerns or any outstanding things that you want to understand before you join. Rhonda, do you have any comments?
Just maybe one question for the 27th. It's the sort of closing and opening of the new program. It is a virtual session, as I saw on the slide. Will it be about the same time in the evening, the 6-7 o'clock time frame?
Yes.
We do organizing a closeout of this year's program, which we call the 2022, and the opening of the 2023 program together. So you get a chance to network with the mentors and other mentees from the previous year. So it's quite a nice sharing event, right, Rhonda?
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
And in case that you would be interested in any other program, not only in individual membership, for example, the C-level program or the boardroom readiness program, what we are offering is to connect you with someone who participated in the program, who can share with you the experience from the program.
And as Martina said, the next cohort will start in September and the applications will be open before the summer holidays. So you can always look there on the website. It'll say call for applications if you decide you want to take a different program. Okay.
Perfect.
So before we close, should we have anyone who wants to have a picture? We'll post about this session. If you want to come off your video and and smile. Martina, you going to take the picture?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Cheese.
Thank you. Great.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Muriel, and thank you, Rhonda and Maria for joining. Thanks, Martina, for organizing it, and hope to see you at either a future event or in one of our programs. And let us know if you have any questions, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Goodbye.
Thank you.